What's up, y'all? We are back for another review of the haves and the have-nots. Tonight's episode was episode 6. This is season 5, episode 6, A Hurricane Offshore. I know, y'all probably like, look, you are trying it in these sunshades in these videos. I know, but once again, I'm tired. So we just gonna float with it, okay? So the episode starts off with Erica and Veronica. Veronica had showed up at Erica's hotel room, and Erica is on the phone talking to David. David asks Erica to put Veronica on. So Veronica takes the phone, and David is trying to convince her to leave Erica alone. Of course, we know that's not going to happen because Veronica came there for a purpose. So Veronica ends up hanging up on David, and she sashays on up into Miss Erica's room. And immediately, Veronica starts going in on Erica, and she's like, where's your pimp? Who is your pimp? And Veronica starts rattling off names of pimps, talking about some, you must belong to Pretty Ricky. Pretty Ricky, what they call him, right? And Erica, of course, at first was taken aback, but Erica was ready because as they're going back and forth, Erica is pretty much just going blow for blow with Veronica, just basically matching wits. And Veronica goes and says, damn, so David, talking about David, they must go from white to beige. She calling Erica beige, because first he had his little foray with Maggie Day, and now he's moved on to a little bit of a darker skin tone, which is supposed to be Erica. And she says, they basically just jabbing at each other. Veronica's talking about Erica's skin being aged and she needs some high SPF sunscreen. That damn Veronica. And so then she said, as they're going back and forth, basically Veronica is on that Yandy, talking about I got the ring, right? But of course, instead of the ring finger, Veronica gives Erica very slyly the middle finger. Although Veronica is actually married to David. It's a fictional show, but we just gonna give it the benefit of the doubt because we all know that BS going on with Yandy and Mendici. But anyway, back to the story. So, Erica calls security. And once Veronica gets her point across, she goes ahead and she leaves or whatever without incident. But before she left, she made sure to gesture as if she was going to slice Erica's face because Veronica was like, you real young, you real pretty, and basically I will take all that away from you. I will completely destroy all that pretty face you got. And she gestured as if she was going to slice Erica's face. So then David calls Erica again, and David is like, you don't know who you messing with, because Erica's like, no, I got it, I can deal with it, I can handle it. And she's like, David's like, no, you don't know who you messing with, basically, you really don't. And she was reminded of that a little bit later on in the episode, and we'll get to that. So Veronica, while she was still there in the hotel room, she's saying, you must be from Florida. Your skin is sun drenched and yada, yada, yada. And that's when she threw the jab in there about the sunscreen. So she takes the reference to Florida and ties that in with the hurricanes, and says, people from Florida are usually used to dealing with hurricanes. They batten down the house. And basically told Erica, I'm the hurricane. So you don't want to mess with me, basically. And Erica, and Erica, of course, she pretty much like, yeah, whatever, bitch. So security comes and Veronica leaves without incident, like I said. And then we see Candace and Jeffrey at the table waiting. And she's sitting there, her and Jeffrey are talking, and Jeffrey was like, wondering what Veronica was doing, and asked Candace, like, what you think she doing, because y'all think alike. And I've heard a lot of people, and that was I got that too. Veronica and Candace are one and the same. They do things differently, but they're one and the same. They think alike. They analyze, and they pick everything apart, and they're very strategic. And that's exactly what Jeffrey said. Like, y'all are both analytical, and y'all think everything. Y'all just got it going on. So, meanwhile, Benny's calling. And Jeffrey's like, well, what is the problem? And Candace tells Jeffrey about the mortgage and about the tow yard, what happened with those two things. And Jeffrey's like, you use people, just like my mother. You use people. And in Candace's mind, and Hannah said this, in Candace's mind, she feels as though she did something good for Benny. And I guess I could see where she's coming from, but she totally doesn't see the error in her ways. So she's convinced that she's done something good, and Jeffrey's just like, you know what? You're a sociopath. You really are. Because Jeffrey was like, are you going to answer the phone? Because Benny kept calling. And Candace was like, you want to see me upset. And Jeffrey's like, you got to have feelings first. You got to have a heart to get upset about anything, which you have neither one, because your ass is a sociopath. And of course, Jeffrey would know what he's talking about because he has a degree in psychology. So then Brandon Oscar pops up, right? And he tells Jeffrey to get lost. Jeffrey's like, I ain't going nowhere. And he like, you know what, on second thought, I'm going to go grab a knife and get rid of you. Because we done stabbed Quincy, so I might as well just go get me a knife and we'll just take care of this. Boom. So Jeffrey gets up. He leaves the table. And the presidential candidate, Charles, I believe was his name. I forgot his name. But he walks in, and Brandon Oscar's like, that's my mark. And I need you to help me get him. His wife passed away a year ago. He's young. You're his type. I need you to help me get him. Candace is like, I'm not trying to hear it. But she was trying to hear it. But of course, she got to keep up this facade. So she's like, I'm a scream. And eventually she does do that. She's like, get away from me. So he gets up and he leaves. But you could see her gears in her head turning. Again, that's that thinking. She's analyzing. So in her mind, I got a feeling before the season is over, she gonna somehow end up back in bed with Brandon Oscar, just not in the literal sense like they were last season. So, boom, that happens. And Justin calls Jeffrey, and it's like, where are you? Jeffrey tells him. Justin's like, well, get a room, because I'm coming. Justin's coming. Ooh, okay. And then Erica and Candace end up on the phone. So Erica tells Candace about what just went down with good old Miss Harrington. And they both discover that they're both at the Artesian Hotel. And Erica's like, well, just come up to my room, and we could talk. So she goes up there, and Candace warns her about Veronica. Now, this is another warning that Erica has received about Veronica, but she's cocky as ever. And so she ain't really tripping. She like, I got it. And then war comes up. And while Candace was warning Erica, she's like, she's on a whole nother level of crazy. Like, because Erica was like, well, I'm crazy too. But Veronica is on a whole nother level. Like, delusional type crazy with lucid moments. Like, that's not the type of crazy you want to mess with. All right, so then they, they're talking or whatever, going back and forth, and war comes up, and well, and then Candace ends up telling Erica about, what happened, everything that went on at the house, how the bank repossessed, foreclosed on the house, and about, she comes out with it and says that she killed Quincy. She stabbed him, and Benny buried him in the backyard. And Erica's like, damn, why you ain't holler at me or whatever. And Candace is like, well, what was you gonna do? It's nothing you could do. We know the same people. Like, what are you talking about? It's nothing you could have done. Benny's still calling. So Candace finally decides to answer the phone. And Benny's like, where are you? I'm on my way. So that was inevitable. Eventually, Benny, whether or not she told Benny that he was, whether or not Candace told Benny where she was, he was going to eventually catch up with her anyway. So, all right, so that was that. Then we got Quita and her, I guess that's her man. I don't know, because I seen some shit at the end for the preview for the next season. What, they about to get freaky? Like, this is just too much happening. So anyway, it's her and the dude over at Wyatt's house. And Wyatt's ass all curled up and balled up on the couch, withdrawing, stomach hurting, everything. Crying, because he's sick. He fiending. He needs a fix. So, and meanwhile, Quita and her little boyfriend making themselves completely at home. They want to order them some pizza and everything. And so then that pretty much was that scene. Like, not too much going on there. And then we have Candace and Benny. Benny shows up at the hotel finally, and he causes a whole big scene, like, telling Candace, basically cussing her out and letting her know, like, look, you need to take some responsibility for all this going on, for real, because this is the reason. You are the one that brought Quincy into our lives. He is the reason mommy's house burned down. Like, come on now, you standing here acting like everything is all good and you got everything under control, but no, you don't. You really don't. And Candace, of course, her pride won't let her give in. She like, because Benny's like, you getting ready to come with me, and we going over to the hotel with mommy. And Candace is like, no, I'm not going. I'm not. And then finally, Benny comes out and is like, look, War is out of jail, okay? And his ass is coming for your ass. So you need to come on. And that was enough to get her to hop on up out of that hotel and go with Benny over to the fountain drop. And he also in that conversation, in that exchange, mentioned that Mitch had also gotten locked up behind all of this mess that she had created, because he went to go get his truck back, and because of all of that crap going on, he ended up getting locked up too, because he went and he took his truck back. So that was that. Then, once Candace heard that War was out of jail, it didn't take nothing for her to go head on and go with Benny, because what else was she going to do, talking about, I have a car? Benny like, girl, you ain't got nothing. That car belongs to the bank, girl. Like, get your mind right. And finally, I'm glad not to have seen Benny sitting around moping, crying at the table, for real, because it just was getting old. So, okay, now Benny's starting to, come on back around. He ain't been right none of the time, really, and especially after he got hit, but after Wyatt hit him, he just wasn't wrapped tight. So, okay, Benny, you coming on back. Okay, come on back. So then we're at the Crier house, and we got Jim and Catherine, and Jennifer done popped up on the news. So Jim is sitting there watching the news story, and Catherine comes in and she bitching at Jim. What else is new? Jim, get out. Jim, get out. You know, and while the news report was going on, it mentioned that the FBI was now involved. So of course, that's the one thing. Back in the other episode, remember Jim mentioned that, like, we don't want the Federal Bureau of Investigation up in this shit. Like, this is not good. And Catherine, in her emotional, irrational mind, is still going hard on Jim, like, get out, our daughter's dead. Why? God knows where. We got all this stuff going on, and they just still going back and forth. And clearly they both are affected by, Amanda's death, what's going on with Wyatt, and all of this stuff going on, but they're dealing with it differently. Catherine is emotional about it, and Jim is kind of like, I just need to get everything done. I need to get everything, all my ducks in a row, kind of like. So, and meanwhile, Catherine is still blaming him. So, and Jim is telling Catherine, like, look, Veronica is nothing to play with. Like, she is the most incredible lawyer, and you trying to get her all crossed up with this cockamamie story you trying to tell me, like, this is not going to work. You need to get on the phone and you need to call her and you need to make nice. Because that's the only way we're going to get through this. You need to get her on the phone. And Catherine, of course, is like, I'm never speaking to her again. And what Jim was saying, though, was making sense. Like, if we're not talking to her, if nobody's talking to her, David's not talking to her, we're not talking to her, no one knows what her next move is. And that is what we need to know, is what she's thinking and how she's planning to maneuver. Because our asses are in a sling pretty much. Like, you put us in this. Like, you blew Jennifer away in the living room. So now what else are we going to do? So Catherine's refusing to talk to her. And Jim is like, well, shit, I'll do it then. Since you don't want to do it, because it's the only way we're going to be able to get this under control. And Catherine's still telling Jim to get the hell out. And Jim's like, yeah, I'll get out under one condition. You need to apologize to her. And she's still refusing. And Jim's like, well, hell, I'll do it. Shit. Damn. Like, you. So then Quincy, once again, we back with the news. We at the fountain drop with Hannah and the baby. And let me see. And she did. No. I'm sorry. Let's back up. Still at the Crier house, when the news story is on, Jim sees Veronica walking across the screen. Like, what the hell is she doing there? Right? So then now we at the fountain drop, and the baby sees the news story on and is like, that's my mommy on TV. And it brings it to Hannah's attention. So Hannah's now looking at the news like, oh my God, what the hell has this girl done? So she tells the baby to go ahead over there and listen to his music, play his video game, put his headphones on. And Candace's picture is up there, everything. They got her picture, they got the crime tape and everything, and the news correspondent is giving the rundown about the story, about the body being found, and about the Jaguar keys being found on Quincy, and a braided type of bracelet was found on Quincy as well. And so and I thought the cute part was when the baby had the headphones on and he turns around and says, I'm I'm listening to my music now, Grandma. And Hannah's like, okay, like, I'm trying to, you know how kids do. You trying to hear someone on TV, they steady talking. Hannah like, all right. The baby say, you ain't gotta yell. Like, the baby's so cute. So anyway, back to the news story. Um, the whole thing is going on the news, and Benny and Candace walk in. And Hannah is looking at them with like this look of horror on her face, like, my two damn children, like, oh my God. And she looks down at Benny's wrist and is like, Benny, where is your bracelet? And Benny, they didn't hear, because they walked in right after the news about the bracelet and everything. So Benny didn't hear anything about that. So Hannah's putting it together in her mind that these two done killed Quincy and buried his ass in the backyard. And whew, Lord, I swear, this whole, and it ain't even got all the way right yet, because we still ain't seen War since he got out of jail. So I'm pretty sure War gonna pop up in the next episode or two, and we gonna see how that unfolds. But that was it. It was a good episode. It's keeping my attention and everything. If I missed something, please leave it down in the description, in the comments. Leave it in the comments. I told y'all I'm so tired. And make sure y'all like, comment, subscribe. Check out all my social media outlets: Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. Okay. And we will be back next week for episode 7. All right, y'all.